listening to Reignite, a podcast about how you can never escape your ex. I'm Frankie.
And I'm Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And today, Case Aiken is here to help us run around Helios for our good friend Peebee.
Hey, Case.
Hi!
Welcome back.
Or as he's better known,
Carter's husband.
Yes. No, that's certainly the better way to know me, frankly.
The proper title that you've earned.
Yes.
We're so excited to have you back. You're also someone who's been on every season, right?
Well, you didn't do guests in the first season, so I wasn't.
We did like
some
a couple.
guests,
Yeah, we did a
not
couple,
like...
but towards the end, yeah.
Then maybe
but you were in second. You were definitely in the second season.
Yeah, I mean, because for listeners, this show is the reason why I'm playing Mass Effect, period. And this season is the reason why I bought an Xbox Series One so I could play it.
That's amazing. I love that. Well, let's talk a little bit about what you do before we get into your history with Andromeda, which, as we just heard, is very fresh. But in case folks somehow manage to not know what you do at certain POV, why don't you let them know?
Sure. So I am the host of two of the shows on the network that are currently running, which is Another Pass, which is a movie analysis show that I host with Sam Alisea, where we try to speculate on how movies could have been improved at the time of production. And then every 5 episodes, we look at a movie that had a lot of production issues and overcame them somehow as sort of a proof of concept of that. And then I'm also the host of Men of Steel, which I do with J. Mike Folson, where we just try to spread positivity about Superman, because there was a lot of negativity and we were like, no, that's not cool.
What? Negativity on the internet about nerd stuff?
Nah, it's fun, and it's a fantasy that people enjoy, and I want people to be able to celebrate it and not just look down upon it. And so it's been a fun time. That's coming up on episode 100 pretty soon, so that's actually really exciting. Nice. And Another Pass is actually about to hit episode 150, so those are both like big projects that have been going for a while. And then I also do the YouTube channel for certain POV, so all the videos that go out, I'm in some way editing on it, even if I'm not necessarily the voice behind it all, like the side quest videos. And then I do the episode art for a lot of the shows, including this one.
Yes,
that is true.
So now, talking Andromeda, you kind of just spilled the beans a second ago, but so you've never played it before.
No,
you started playing it for the show.
for the show. Yeah, so I'm actually like weirdly in this like leapfrogging position with you, Matt, where like you'll get a little ahead of me, and then like because I won't be able to play for a while, and then like I'll get like just a little bit ahead and like forget that sometimes, like and accidentally say a thing because like I'm like, oh man, I just got to this part, and you'll be like, oh no. Yeah, so this is my first playthrough for it. This is honestly like my first real playthrough for anything on like this generation / the previous generation of game consoles, because I had a 360 before. And so like there's a lot of like Andromeda where I'm like, oh, the quality of life is so nice here. This is great. This is like, I am living that XKCD comic where it's just like, oh yeah, I played a game 7 years in the past so that I'm always getting the upgrades, but everything is cheaper for me. And then like cut to 7 years in the future, the cake is a lie.
See, that's a referential joke to a game called Portal. Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, so what do you think of Andromeda so far? I think you're the first person on the show that's kind of in the midst of it. What's your impression so far? Since you, like me, you can't kind of give a final verdict yet.
I love it, frankly. Like that's the biggest part of the huge shock for me, because I'd heard so many negative things about it, and there, like everyone had been sort of like, oh, there's a lot to like, but it's not as good as the original. And I agree that from a story perspective, the original trilogy is so amazing, especially when you get to the third game, which we talked about how much I loved all of the things that happen, especially the stuff with the Krogan in that game. But the gameplay loop I think is fantastic. I super enjoy the jumping and dashing mechanisms for it, and the profile system I think is a really cool thing. It's different. Like I wouldn't want that for every game, but for this game specifically, like it's fun to sort of like, okay, I'm going to kit out my character with all tech powers for right now and be running with a tech profile, and then switch over to biotic stuff and whatnot. I am playing. So when I did the original trilogy run, I took your advice and played as a soldier for it. So I played as a soldier, but with some sniping. And I have found that Mass Effect Andromeda is not very friendly to snipers. Like your draw distance is further than your actual aiming distance So like I'll get into position and think I can shoot a thing, and then like it really doesn't do me any good.
Right.
So I'm actually playing as a vanguard more than anything else. Like I've kitted out my Ryder with the biotic amp, so he punches really hard as his
Nice.
melee. And then I just have I've got an assault rifle that I have kitted out to be a sniper rifle, and I've got a sniper rifle that I've kitted out to function as an assault rifle. The Raptor. So I basically just have two guns that work very similarly, and those are my ranged options. And then like I just run in and punch.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Run in and punch is the best way to do it.
It's really interesting. I just upgraded my cloak to the point where now if I punch someone, it causes me to cloak. So now it's a new type of running and punching where like I punch and I go invisible, and then I punch another thing, or I'll have the charge and I'll like charge across and punch a thing, and maybe I'll have an aura that sucks their life out. I'm really enjoying the flexibility of the characters is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
That's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, I mean, the character creation is totally flexible. I remember talking early on with Frankie about how I wasn't fond of it, and it turns out it was just because I wasn't doing anything with it. Like, I wasn't diversifying enough. But now, like, I'm kind of a sentinel.
Diversify your portfolio.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. But, like, now that I'm using, like, some biotics, some tech, and, like, have better weapons. Like I have the equivalent of a Mass Effect revolver. It's like 6 shots in the chamber, but they all do so much damage that like I just pick enemies off while using powers. And yeah, I agree with you, Case. Some might say Frankie is the trendsetter, as Frankie was one of the earliest people I know to say that this game was great.
Yeah, that's right. Early adopter. That's me.
But it's good to hear that you're enjoying it too. And I'm curious. I mean, on the heyday when I finally can go into the Mass Effect Andromeda spoilers channel and read back for like 30 days or more, but like also actually talk about the end of this game and my final verdict, I still genuinely don't know how I feel about the game, and the fact that I know I like it, but I still haven't hit love it or just like it. Like I'm still ebb and flowing. And so I'm curious where you land as well, Case.
Yeah.
I know we like a lot of the same things sci-fi wise.
Well, and I've been avoiding that channel too because I also am. Like I just said, I'm exactly with you. Like I just did this mission. I did one mission since I finished PBs, and that like so we're about at the same part. And I can't remember. You may have already done the one I'm talking about. So like you know, in terms of like where I'm at in the game, we're pretty matched on this one. You know, I really like a lot of this game in general. You know, you've compared it to Star Trek a lot, and I think that that's a really apt comparison. I think it's a ton of fun exploring these planets. You know, it is different, and I wouldn't necessarily want all of the things like this being ported over to the original trilogy, just because, I mean, obviously from a design standpoint, you don't need characters jumping around like that. But you know, it's a different thing you're going for here. But for this game, it's really fun feeling like this explorer who has like a cool car that can like drive around like weird planets. You know, like the first Mass Effect game felt like so much space opera stuff that we were familiar with, and this one's just adding extra layers of that exploration component of, you know, a little bit less combat focused, even though like my Ryder's body count is probably pretty crazy, and there's some moments, we'll talk about one of those where it's just like it's that dissonance between like gameplay moments where it's just like, here's some mooks for you to fight, and then like at like story moments where you're like, did I just kill a lot of people? That's not cool.
In your defense, they were trying to kill you.
This is true.
That is how we have to balance it.
Yeah, and I'm playing him as like a very himbo, like happy-go-lucky character. Like, yeah.
I would just like. It feels like that's just who Ryder is. I feel like even the Ryders we've talked to that are sterner or more renegade are still kind of like, nah, I'm just helping. Which is very on point. Cool. Well, it's so great to have you here. Why don't we get into the mission, which of course requires a summary.
A PB has sent us all over Helios to collect parts and evade Kalinda. Finally, after Pak has been stolen and retrieved, PB can track a mysterious signal that should help us unlock a greater understanding of Remnant technology. Unfortunately, Kalinda can track us. It's a race to the center of a volcano, with some friendly observers helping us along the way. What does Ryder choose? The tech or someone's life?
Ba, ba, ba. So I only sort of hated Kalinda. Like Frankie and I talked about it in the first couple of missions. We talked about Kalinda, and I like She annoyed me. But
She sucks.
But the first time she says, and I might break your new toy, ta. The first time she went ta instead of ta-ta, literally dropped the second ta. I was like, I'm going to kill you. I hate you and I hope you die.
You lost the right to live.
It's so pretentious. I hate it.
She's very pretentious.
Yeah.
Kalinda's kind of the worst.
Before we break down this mission, I do have to admit, and Frankie had kind of called this a while back with this and Jal, we've yet to see where I'm at with Jal, but with this mission, I wasn't all the way caught up. And so today, while I was playing the mission, I also had to do a little like side mission stuff to kind of further the timers, the on-hold stuff. And I remember messaging Frankie, I'm like, I love this on-hold thing, and we've talked about this before on the show, except when I'm in a hurry, because I have to go do other things.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, and this one really drags it out. Like some of the other ones where it's just like I'll forget that I'm technically on hold for a task because I wasn't even really that into it. But like this one, because I was playing it for this and also just in general, there's just a lot of steps before you get to the mission proper.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, when you booted up the game and you were finally like, I'm gonna go help PB, how many side missions do you have to complete? Like, how many steps into PB's loyalty mission were you?
So I only needed one more piece of REM tech. No, that's not true. I needed two because I went for one, and then like I like got it from someone who imprisoned themselves and they sold out their boss. And so then I went to get the other one that was secret, like wasn't there anymore. I had to go confront the Krogan to get it, who then ended up not showing up, and then Pac got stolen. So yeah, that's from where. And then I did all of that, got Pac back, and then did the mission.
Yeah.
So what should have taken an hour took me 2-ish hours instead.
I think we started in the same point because the next thing I had to do was go to the bar in Kadara.
Yeah.
So I think we started at the same point.
Yep.
Which I think is very funny.
It is. Well, I think because I've been following your map so closely, it's not surprising to me that we kind of ended up in the same place, even though you kept telling me, make sure you do this thing for Jal. Make sure you do that for PV.
Jal is the only one who matters, let's be real.
No, it's true. He's pretty high up there.
I don't know. I caught some feels on this episode, or on this mission, actually.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Before we do that, did you have a check-in with Vetra?
I did not. I didn't check in with her yet. I wasn't sure.
Well.
Because I didn't know. Remember we said like the conversations and like the next conversation after the mission was the like possible romance conversation. I'm not ready to have
Matt, they all invite you out on a date.
Oh, that's right.
Everyone invites you out on a date. And then on the date is where you have the ability to be like, yeah, I'm into you, or I think we should just be friends.
Okay. I'm forever scarred by the accidental Liara relationship. Well, then tell us what the check-in was about. I will do it on the next time I play.
It was talking about Sid.
Yeah.
Because we just completed Vetra's loyalty mission.
Mm-hmm.
So Vetra reveals that Sid has been going behind Vetra's back, using her contacts, pulling in favors for silly, frivolous things. And one thing that she cites is she traded a favor to get the genome for a cat. And Vetra gets all upset and she's like, you can't grow it. It's not food. Why? And my writer chooses to say, people like cats. Like, they're fun. Like, people like them. They make them happy. And Vetra tries to say, like, we don't need that right now. We need, like, survival things. We need to survive. We need the necessities. And Sid is understanding something that Vetra doesn't. Living with only the necessities is soul-crushing.
Yeah.
We need the things that make life worth living, hard work worth doing in order to wake up each day. A cat may not be food or necessarily helpful, I say, as I look at a cat that is doing chaos behind me, but they're soft and they're comforting and they know when you're not feeling well, so they sit on your chest and they purr because that's how they, like, heal. And that's what they know to do to make you feel better. And that's just nice. You can't just live your life doing the very basic things. Like, this is the conversation that a lot of conservatives have about people who are on welfare, who are using food stamps, that if you are on welfare, you should not be spending your money on nice things, right? Yeah. We've all heard this argument, but it's bullshit, and we all know it. Because those people save up their money, they scrimp and they save, and they are on public assistance because they need it. And you know what? They also deserve to have a phone that works.
Yeah, I mean, wants and needs are two separate things, but they one hand washes the other, right? And like, as far as the pet thing goes, like, as someone who recently adopted an adorable puppy named Otis Hakelev Storm. Hakelev means the dog in Hebrew, because we're very funny. Yeah, that was Sarah's idea. But Otis is a delight, and like, I love my spouse with my whole heart, and like, she makes me so happy, but there's a level of happiness that this dog brings me that I didn't think was physically possible. He does this thing where, like, if I'm playing my Switch on the couch, laying down, he puts his head in the crook of my arm and just looks at me.
He's a cute baby.
Or like when I'm laying down, he'll like put his head on my thigh, like in my lap, and just kind of look up at me and then like breathe heavy and then go to sleep. Like, it's just those kinds of things are not, we don't need those things to live, but we need them to live well. And like, it's anything else too. Like, do I need to buy 10 more Switch games? No. Am I going to and then only play 2 of them? Probably.
Maybe.
But the point is that the purchasing makes me feel as good as the playing part, which is sad, but also true. Yeah, no, I agree with you, Frankie. I think the problem is Vetra is so used to living lean and being in survival mode that it's hard to come out of that. And I've been there. I've lived poor. I've lived trying just to get by. And sometimes you just stay that way for a long time, even after you have some money, because you're so used to that mode. But there is more beyond that.
Yeah. I mean, it's that surviving is not living.
Right.
You have to provide an option for people to have things that they enjoy. Otherwise, what's the point?
Yeah, for sure. And you know what? People in Helios deserve to have cats.
Yeah.
Sure. Fine. Cats are fine.
See, you're just saying that because you haven't met Ricky yet.
I mean, no, I thought I met Ricky. Didn't I meet Ricky?
I don't remember.
I can't.
You weren't in the house for that long when you were last over.
That's true.
So I don't know if you met Ricky.
I will say, from just a meta perspective, knowing like the ecological nightmare that domestic cats have been on Earth, like, it is terrifying to think that we might be bringing that to a different galaxy.
But also, though, cats are useful.
Oh, I love cats. I'm like, oh, they're probably great for like the rodent problems that I'm sure some of these ships have.
Like, they're probably going to fight those medium-sized bugs.
Oh yeah,
that run around Eos.
That's true.
You'll just find corpses of them, and the cats just being like, "Yeah, fuck you."
Yeah, makes perfect sense. But I am concerned of like once they set down on some of these places.
I want a scene of Jal meeting a cat.
It would be great.
Being so delighted.
Yeah, no, he would be so delighted. He would bring it back to Aya, and then the next thing you know, you would find out that some species is now gone.
He'd walk into Aya and be like, "Behold, a cat."
It would just be full-on Lion King scene right there.
It has knives for feet. We love it.
Oh, man. Were there any other check-ins besides Vetra?
That was it.
That was it. Okay. Why don't we jump into this mission? So who did everybody bring? I brought Cora.
Jal.
I had Drac.
Wow. All right. Yeah. A diverse party. Love it. I love bringing Cora when I have one of the other kind of more free-spirited characters, because Cora is just cranky all the time, and it's very funny. And like, so there's a scene at the start of the mission where they're getting ready in the locker room, and Cora's like, "Wait, where's PB?" And Ryan's like, "I don't know. She'll probably be here in a minute." And like, Cora just stares at him and went, "Yeah, okay. She's probably off daydreaming somewhere." And so like calls her on the comms, no response, so they go, and they're wandering over. Like, and as they're headed there, Cora's like, "All right, Ryder, you grab her legs, I'll grab her arms, and we'll go."
That's good. That is very good.
It was very good.
For me with Jal, when PB calls you over and you decide like, okay, fine, Jaw's like, yeah, I'm not missing this. And he follows you.
Yeah, I forget what Drax said specifically. It wasn't as elaborate as what Cora said. I think he just like agreed to follow.
And then we get inside her home, her escape pod.
Her bedroom.
And she's her bedroom, and she's like, "Hey, come here! I want to show you something." And then we walk inside the escape pod, and she's like,
"Because we're all dummies."
Yeah, like Ryder. I don't know what Cora's excuse is, but Ryder's like, "Sure, I believe you. Why would I think anything would be wrong? Because I'm Ryder."
I fully believe that Ryder and Drac are like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah, exactly. And then PB is like, "Well, I don't think we're ever going to be able to land." So, bam, and then hits a button, and the escape pod launches. It's just like,
yeah,
all right.
And I didn't love it.
I didn't love it either, although I wasn't mad. PP asked if I'm mad, and I said I'm not. And then Cora,
I said I was.
And then Cora says, "You're both crazy," as she straps in.
When I said that I was mad, I just love the line that Ryder has, which is, "Mad is the smallest word for what I am."
That's good. I like that.
It's so good.
That's such a good line.
I love it so much.
That might be the episode title. Mad is the smallest word I am. I like that. But I just love that Cora has this attitude of like a mother that's exasperated all the time.
Oh yeah. She has trouble believing that these are all the same clowns. These are all the clowns from the same circus that she's from.
Yeah.
These are all the clowns from my circus.
I have to imagine Drac was just happy to be along for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, his was like totally fine. So I should note, up until this point, I had not been formally romancing anyone. Like I was like, I kind of was going out with Reyes for a little bit, and I was like, this is cool. But I also was sleeping with PB, like because at the time when she was like, oh, no strings, I was like, well, I'm not actually in a relationship with anyone. This seems like a good choice, and so and also just. Even though my intention had been to romance Cora, like I was getting no vibes from her. Like I wasn't getting really any like flirt options for her or for really any of the others. And so I just had this ritual of, especially like when things didn't really work out with Reyes, that every time I would have a mission, I would come back and I would just like hook up with her in the escape pod. And so at this point, like when this happened, it's like, well, yeah, no, like I care about you a lot. And then when it's like, are you mad? I'm like, no, because I know this is important to you. Like,
valid. It is important to her. I'm still mad because I have already made it clear I am your friend. I'm going to sign up for any crazy bullshit that you have going on. You should maybe tell me if you're going to launch me into a volcano.
Oh, no, that's totally rational. But I just know that, like, me in that same circumstance, and because, like, while I'm playing him as a himbo, but, like, there's a me in there. Like I wouldn't be able to.
Surprised.
Like my threshold for getting particularly angry about that kind of thing would already be on the lower side. Anyway, so I'm like, nah, I wouldn't really be mad.
I don't like being surprised, and it's just rude because I've made it very clear that I'm down for whatever, and to trick me into the escape pod and trick me into getting launched into a volcano, it's just shitty. It's just a shitty move and not something a good friend would do.
Yeah, I mean, PB has shown quite a bit of selfishness up until this point, which is par for the course with the character, but also knowing you, Frankie, as long as I have, I know how much you don't like surprises. You like to know what's going on. You like to plan and prepare.
Surprises are only okay if they're gift related.
Right.
Or like,
this was the gift of a volcano getaway.
I know that I am going to receive a positive surprise.
Right.
But like, it's hard to explain.
No, it's okay. I get it.
I don't like to be launched into volcanoes without having a conversation about it first.
Fair enough.
I think that's very fair of me. I think that's very valid.
No, I think that's the smarter way to be. Like, I'm just saying that my Ryder very specifically will leap across canyons to punch things.
Fair enough. Look, character consistency is important.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, this is one of the reasons PB's never going to be a good romance option for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because this would upset me hugely if I were romancing her.
Yeah. That's legit.
I'm going to say it. This mission was kind of boring.
Yeah.
between the like cutscenes. Like I would have just really enjoyed watching all of the cutscenes and not doing any of the combat.
Yeah.
I mean, the combat's fine, but it just felt fairly short. Like, there wasn't a lot to it. Like, because I started it and then it was late and I was like, I can't play this right now. And like when I came back to it and like restarted that portion of the mission and I was kind of locked into it by where my quick save was, like I was like, oh, I could have just finished it. I made a mistake. I should have just done it.
Yeah. I mean, I think Andromeda, I like that Andromeda takes more swings and makes more misses because we get stuff like Vetra's mission out of that, which had some cool mechanics. But like here, the friendly observers is a good idea, right? I have my own pet observer, but also like I have my own pet observer. That I control constantly? Why couldn't I just send him to do all the things? Like canonically, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But I know why. It's because you may not have it. Not everyone uses it.
Yeah.
But like the friendly observer summoning and then having them open the door, it's just pushing a button. Like I could have just pushed another button. Like it doesn't really feel like anything.
Yeah. It would have been nice if there was like more mechanics involved. Like if you had to control
like,
it
or anything like that.
It's a good setup for an idea, but it's not elaborated enough on.
If you had to do an actual hack to like get the observer to see you as an ally, then maybe that would add something that was much needed for this. Because I'm looking at my notes and I'm like, what do I even really have to talk about here? How angry I am at PB and how much I hate Kalinda.
Yeah. I mean, the whole time, like, the banter is very good. As much as I dislike Kalinda is definitely one of those characters that I love to hate, right? Like, she's written well, and the banter back and forth between her and PB is good. PB is also written really well here. But yeah, I mean, the race to the center, it's mostly just fighting, puzzle, door, fighting, banter. That's it. I can't even remember a significant cutscene besides the final one that we'll talk about in a minute. Like,
yeah, because when we're kind of making our way through this remnant manufacturing plant, we discover that Kalinda put a transponder or a receiver or something in Puck, so that way she could track us. And now she has access to this remnant signal. And because PB wants it, she wants it. Because she's a petty bitch.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it.
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I mean, there's a lot of... But this does show a lot of hurt. Like, the reason that they're both acting the way they are, I've seen relationships break down like this, and so I get it. Like, is it good they're acting this way? Absolutely not. Does it make sense? Yes. It doesn't seem like something that couldn't happen.
No, for sure. It definitely makes sense. It kind of frustrates me because PB refuses to tell us anything about the relationship. And, like, I don't know. I just want to fight Kalinda.
Yeah, same. But yeah, I mean, the combat here is fine. The platforming's fine. It's all kind of run-of-the-mill stuff here. Honestly, for being in a volcano, it could have been a little more hectic.
Yes, it could have been more.
Like, think about, what's the volcano part of Overlord? Do you remember the name of it?
Oh, I do remember. I don't remember the name of it, but I remember what you're talking about. Where there's the rocks floating down, and if you land on it and stay on it too long, it'll sink. So you have to keep moving. Yeah,
that kind of sucked, but in the Hammerhead. But doing that with the mobility in this game could be fun or something like that.
Yeah, I agree. Like, it needed something, and it didn't have it.
Yeah, I'm starting to worry that I might be over-leveled also at this point, because I am...
That's also true.
Combat has been... like I said, I really do enjoy the combat in this game, but I am flying through it. Like, I'm rarely challenged.
Same.
I mean, you could always turn up the difficulty if you... Yeah, well, so, all right. Fair enough.
That's true. I could do that, and I honestly forget that I can do that sometimes because I'm just playing the game. So.
Yeah, no, I'm too focused. I'm too hyper-focused right now. Change settings? What? Like a nerd?
But yeah, so we fight our way through this volcano, and when we get to the final area, we're kind of cornered by Kalinda's troops, and so we have to summon some friendly observers to help us fight them back.
I just gotta say, Kalinda throws her entire mercenary group at us.
Everyone, 2 mechs also at the same time.
And that Krogan?
Everything at us. And it's like, wow, you really do not value anyone's life at all.
Yeah.
Like, why do people work for you?
And this is where the trigger that we're going to come to in a second, like the dissonance between gameplay and then the actual story. Because if she was throwing mechs at us, and like there would be a slightly different vibe, because like you're fighting a bunch of robots or something, you know, she could be throwing Remnant at you, and that would have been really interesting if she's taken over the whole base and like just like not it's nonstop.
That would have been cool.
Like
Yeah.
like that kind of situation, but like you're mowing down just like all these mercenaries, including like some like Krogan criminal warlord, and like then all of a sudden there's a like, well, but can you let a person die like moment in there, and like I said, it just feels like just a break in the two formats.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about this before with the Reyes decision also. Like, I wanted a third option there because the decision you had to make didn't feel true to my character.
Like, it's true to the character to save someone from being shot, but is it true to the character to save a terrible person? You know, it's confusing. And morality often is, so, like, I get it.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the final decision. So during the hectic battle, Kalinda's running for the artifact, and so is PB. Kalinda tries to make the jump on this rock that's falling, like that's unstable, and doesn't make it, and is holding on for dear life, while PB, of course, shows off and easily makes the jump and grabs the artifact.
Well, because she's smart and she uses her booster.
That too. And then notices that Kalinda's going to fall, and PB drops the relic to go help Kalinda, and you're presented with a reaction trigger. You can shoot Kalinda, so then PB will just go for the artifact, I assume. Or you don't shoot Kalinda and let PB rescue her, and you lose the artifact. And so, like, the more that Case talked about it, I'm seeing the dissonance now, but in the moment, I leaned into what I would do, and I wouldn't just kill someone who can't even defend themselves. I let PB, because also it's not my choice. Like, if PB wanted to drop her in the lava, fine, but like I just let it play out, and how it plays out is that PB then rescues her and we lose the artifact.
I also feel like it's less about do you save Kalinda and more about do you save PB.
Yeah.
You know, like what kind of person do you encourage PB to become?
Right.
Do you encourage her to be someone who only cares about like what she can get?
Yeah.
Or do you encourage her to care about other people's lives? Because that's a trend with PB, right? Like, you can't care about people. You can't care about other people. They're just going to let you down. Like, other people just disappoint you. And she talks so much about how she hates Kalinda, but then she finally, in the moment, realizes that despite everything, she doesn't want to watch Kalinda die. Because they've had an experience together.
So I hate this trigger because I accidentally like hit it as soon as like the thing popped up, and I didn't realize what I was doing, and I shot her.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh no. Because like in my head I was thinking like a trigger, of course I'm going to help pull her up. Like or something, and I did not realize that what the words were, and it was coming right off of a combat scene, and I just hit it, and I was like, fuck. But I didn't have I was just going off the quick save, so I knew I couldn't like go back.
So that was your choice.
So I got stuck with this situation. I was like, God damn it. I didn't mean to do that.
So what happens when you take that trigger? You shoot her, she falls.
So
in the
you shoot
lava.
her hand and she falls. And then PB grabs the remnant artifact. And so like she's got tech stuff from that she can work on now.
Got it. And so Frankie, did you not take the shoot trigger also?
I did not take it.
Okay, I didn't think so. But Case makes a good point. Like, in that moment, devoid of the combat, my Ryder, they would not have shot her. Like, if she was threatening PB, if she was going to throw PB over, I might have taken that shot, because that's an aggression that I'm sending force back at.
Right, you're defending another person.
But like a defenseless person who PB is also trying to rescue, not going to take that shot. But I do agree that after killing tons of Kalinda's mercs, there is a disconnect there a little bit. Like, the choice to take and not take lives in the original trilogy felt more cut and dry, which isn't always better, right? Because then it feels too gamified. But in this, I do feel like there are some moments where I'm like, my Ryder, the way I've played him, wouldn't do either of these things. In this moment, I would have probably done that. I wouldn't have taken the shot. But it does still feel weird after like murdering her whole squad to then let PB save her. But your perspective that you mentioned, Frankie, makes sense for why one would make that decision.
Yeah. I feel like the difference between moments is the mercs are trying to kill you. They're actively trying to kill you, and they are not defenseless. They are not on the, like, a fingertip away from death, as PB said. They are making their decision to attack you, and they are risking their lives with full knowledge of what that means. Kalinda is not threatening you. Kalinda is not aiming a weapon at you. Kalinda is begging for her life. And PB, your friend, the person that you're doing this for, tells you, I don't want her to die.
I guess I'm just mad that it's a trigger because, like I said, like, in my head, I was
because
like,
you're impulsive?
Well, yeah. But also in my head, I was like, of course I would just run and grab, like, help. And, like, it's annoying that, like, your choices do fucking nothing or shoot her. And it's like, that I find...
Well, what can you do? You're not near her. Yeah. You have to let PB do it.
And again, in the game world, I'm, like, flying around all over the place because I'm just doing biotic charges everywhere. I get it, but it's just, again, like, saw the trigger, and I normally don't pull the trigger, like, on any of these because I usually, like, read the text, but it was just, like, in the moment. I was like, it was like, we have to help her, and I thought she yelled help to you, and I was like, okay, well, yeah, that's what the trigger would do. And then, oh no, it doesn't.
Nope,
sure doesn't.
Nope. But hey, you get so much cool gear from Kalinda and a promise to leave you the fuck alone,
which is nice. There were opportunities during this mission where you can flirt with PB, and I didn't take any of them. I had been flirting with her a little bit, but after some of the immaturity that we talked about in previous missions, I'd backed off. But, like, the end of this mission just felt so nice to be her friend in that moment. It felt really nice because she also seems to respect you and appreciate you by the end of this on a level that you didn't really seem come through that much.
Yeah.
I do also briefly like the moment we forgot to talk about before when you talked to her about going to find the thing or whatever, or maybe it's when you go to find Pac. She gives you the spiel and you just go, okay. And she's like, really? Okay.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I said I'd help you. And so this is me helping you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That ties into my complaint of why I'm mad.
Yes.
God. Stupid PB. Like, I'm happy that we're friends. I will never date you. We are never getting together.
So, because of this mission, things have gotten different than I expected on that one. So I don't. Is it jumping to be like the fallout from it at this point, or are we?
Are you going to refer to PB's speech to the Tempest?
Not yet, although that ties into it.
If you can avoid stuff that I haven't covered yet, that would be good.
Okay, if you haven't seen the speech.
Immediately after.
Okay, so I did talk to her afterwards, though. And this, I don't, because if you're not romancing her, it's not, I don't think it's going to come up. Long story short, she's like, why'd you do that? And I responded, oh, it was a split-second decision. She's like, well, that really kind of reveals who you are. I don't have a place to stay anymore. And I'm like, oh, well, I have a pretty big space. And so she moves into my room. And that's before we actually, like, confirm it. And I'm like, oh, well, that's pretty weird.
You do have that conversation with her as friends, though. Or at least I did. Yeah. Where she said, like, I don't have a bedroom anymore. And I was like, you said that you can sleep anywhere.
Oh, I did do that also. Yeah, I did have that conversation.
Well, so since we were already sleeping together, she's now moved in, and then, like, this is only if you're, like, romancing her. Like, the next thing is, like, she does a thing, and then, but part of that is, like, do you want to be in a relationship? And I'm like, yeah. And I was like, all right, yeah, I guess so. Yeah. Like, that, like, literally was how I went through it in my head, like, both as Ryder and as Case, like, experiencing this moment of being like, well, yeah, you know, because we've been intimate, we've been through a lot together, she's moved in, and then all of a sudden we're like fully on dating, and it's like, oh, that's interesting. And then I looked up the guides to see, like, well, is there anything else going on with that? And it's apparently not supposed to happen, because apparently if you shoot Kalinda, you're not supposed to be able to romance PB anymore. And I don't know how that happened. Either it glitched or we just were banging that much. I don't know.
Huh. Interesting.
I feel like it patched.
Yeah, they might have. Maybe they changed it. I don't know.
Yeah, like I'm assuming that there's some kind of meter in the system based on, like, your interactions with her, and like everything else had been like, oh yeah, no, like, I support you, like I got your back, and I'm guessing that I had enough of that, and also she was living in my room at that point.
Well, I can say at this point that firmly I am not going to romance PB, which doesn't help anything.
Hear that, PB Mancers?
Yep.
You're out of the running.
You're out of the running. I still cannot decide between Vetra, Jal, and Korra. And every time I think I've leaned one way or another, I do a mission with one of them and go, no, still not sure.
But before this, I didn't know if I was going to be romancing Phoebe, and now apparently we are a couple.
Yeah, well, I mean, I didn't set out to romance Caden in our original trilogy playthrough. I fell into it. So, like, that's legit. That happens with these games. And so it's fun to see it happen in real time with you for this one.
Well, it was funnier this one because I lamented. We talked about this many of the times I've been on before. How the Liara relationship, I felt like I was kind of like railroaded into in the first Mass Effect, and then I just
Frankie actually was railroaded into.
Yeah, like because I wasn't really like I didn't mean to really be flirting with either. They're like pick one, and I was like the one I have a psychic connection with, I guess. Like and now she's the master of all crime. I guess I can't say no to this anymore. like I don't. If I break up, what's gonna happen? I'll be dead again. So that just seemed like a thing that for that game, and I felt like that was sort of awkward. And so I went into Andromeda very much thinking I didn't want to have a relationship with an Asari, by virtue of like, oh, I want to do something kind of different. And then I was like, well, and I was leaning towards Korra, and also Korra was feeling like kind of like an Asari because of all the Korra things.
Because she's a weep.
Right, exactly.
Yes.
But that still was like kind of where I was going, and that's why I like wanted to like play around with Reyes and see if like that was something. And then all of a sudden, I just like realized that I actually was really digging this like weird relationship, this very casual relationship I had with BB all of a sudden, which was like kind of phenomenal. Like it's like as far as the relationship side goes, it's not the most epic moment in the series yet, but like it's honestly the one that's like touched me in those kind of feels the most of anything in the games so far.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
love when that shit happens. Well, that's kind of it for PV's mission. There's not a ton here, but it is time to offer me advice for a new galaxy. Frankie continuing to be cryptic as ever, so please provide.
The fortune cookie says, violence is not always the answer.
Thanks. I mean, I know that. I just didn't kill someone, so.
Yep, that's my advice.
Uh-huh. Case, do you have any more helpful advice for me?
So, since I actually did do this mission, I can say that I back up Frankie 100% on that one. So, you know what? My fortune cookie says, Frankie is always right.
That is also true.
Gross. Fine.
I don't know if you want a real spoiler or not.
No, I don't. You're good.
Yeah.
You're fine. It's fine.
I would like someone, by the way, to appreciate the intro that was, you can never escape your ex.
Yeah.
Because Matt and I do this podcast together.
Yeah, that's true. So I can never escape my ex. Yeah. Ha 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 ha. Please, Case, help us. Pick a character. It's time for the Andromeda Ask meme.
Have you done PB yet?
I don't remember.
It feels appropriate for this mission, so.
I think we have done PB, but like, whatever. What's something on your bucket list?
On my bucket list.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have self-published stuff that I've written before, but I'd love to write something that was actually picked up by a publisher. That wasn't like by me making it happen, but like someone else was like, oh, I like the work you're doing, I would like to help foster it, as opposed to everything I'd always do, which is like, oh, I'll fund my own like whatever project and like put it out there in the world. So it'd be so the bucket list would be like to actually get something like picked up and like actually like put out there in the world.
Okay.
That's a good item.
I love that. Yeah.
That is one of my goals as well. I wouldn't call it a bucket list item for me though. Matt, do you have anything on your bucket list?
I mean, genuinely, and this is not me just being sappy, although my heart is pretty big at this point, like getting a dog was on my bucket list. Like I had a dog growing up. My dog Smokey, who I loved, who looked like a black wolf. He was a Labrador Chow mix, who I love very much, who we had to put to sleep when I was pretty young. And like I've wanted one since, and just timing wasn't right. The relationships I was in weren't ready for them. And like being with Sarah as long as I had, and us always talking about it, like I always wanted one. And we always discussed getting a dog that was a year or two old. Like that way it has training, it has some like foundation under it, and it'll be less work for us. Not no work, but less work. And then we met Otis, and like, who's barely 6 months old, and like just fell in love with him. And Like, I was nervous at first. I had a lot of anxiety about bringing him home because I know that puppies can be a lot of work and hard to house train. But he's like, there have been late nights with him, and like, there's been issues and accidents. But all in all, he's been lovely and wonderful and sweet. He's timid around new people, but like, is a cuddle bug with me and Sarah. And like, I just genuinely love this stupid dog. This goddamn goober of an animal. And so that was the bucket list item, and I have one, and I love him, and it's just really cool to kind of have a companion the kind of companion I've always wanted to have since I was a kid.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Yeah, I have those moments. What about you, Frankie?
Well, I'm actually really close to completing one of my bucket list items. I am going to be moving to the UK soon, and I'll be living in Northern Ireland, which means that I will have access to various landmarks in the old country. Both of my parents, their families are from Ireland. My father's family is from Balik. My mother's family is from Cork. So I am going to visit all the places that I have wanted to visit ever since I was a kid. I'm going to stand on the cliffs of Moher. I'm going to visit the Giant's Causeway. I'm going to meet family, and I'm going to live in this place I never thought that I was going to see in my entire life. So that's really exciting. And I have to come up with new bucket list items. Something else that's on my bucket list is visiting the catacombs in Paris, which is achievable once I move to the UK, because then I can weekend pretty much anywhere in Europe for under $100.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It'll also give me a reason to finally go visit out there, though I've had other reasons. But like, and for anyone wondering, it could affect there could be a hiccup in release, but other than that, we plan to keep doing the podcast, to keep releasing on schedule.
I just have to figure out how to bring my Xbox with me.
Yeah. But the plan is to keep this podcast going this season and beyond while Frankie's away. But more on that as we get closer to it. And if there are any hiccups or delays, we of course will let you know.
Let's just say September is gonna be a bit rocky.
Yeah, it could be interesting.
Let's say that.
If we can bank enough episodes over the next 2 weeks, then it might not be so bad. But we'll see.
I don't think we will.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Awesome. Well, that's it for this week. That's it. In our next episode, we are going to finally help everyone's favorite marshmallow in this franchise, in this part of the franchise, Jal, confront Aksul. And Case, thank you for being here.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me back on. I have so enjoyed this weird relationship of playing a video game alongside you all for the first time, like as opposed to like the book club that a lot of people are like, oh, I'm doing a replay for it, like really experiencing it and having, moments where I get ahead, but then you all race ahead too is like great. And it's so fun. I really love that working with the two of you has like really pushed me to remember to have fun sometimes, because like it's difficult for me to like take time to like play video games a lot. So thank you for having me back on. I love working with this show and developing art for it, and like to know what the hell I'm making. And you can tell in like it's like episode 5 or 6 of the first season where I'm like, I gotta play this game because I have no idea what I'm doing. like I was like making the art and I was like, I'm reading the synopses, I don't know what these words mean, I need to like figure this out. And I really do love just like putting images together to actually like do a thing. I'm really excited to come up with this one. The one for this one. Yeah, so again, just thank you for having me on. If people want to find me, they can find me on Twitter at Case Aiken. They can find the shows that I do at certainpov.com. Again, that's Another Pass, which is a movie show. So if you like discussing movies that we find fascinating but flawed, the goal is not to be negative about a movie, but to, correctly identify weaknesses and see where they could have been ironed out. Or if you just love trivia, because every 5 episodes we talk about like the craziest behind the scenes for some of these movies, like The Wizard of Oz, for example, which was a nightmare behind the scenes for everyone involved. So check those episodes out. Those are a lot of fun. Men of Steel, again, also at Certain POV. And honestly, check out our YouTube channel. Like, we've been putting a ton of stuff up. Matt and I have been working together for getting a lot of extra content by way of doing clips from some of the shows. So that's been huge. SideQuest has been so fun to create the video components for. So definitely people should check out the Certain POV YouTube channel.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely go check all that stuff out. Please give Case a follow. Also, I edit both of Case's currently running shows, and they're a lot of fun to edit.
Yeah, we're symbiotes.
Well, if you like what you heard here, please follow us on social media. We're at ReignitePod on Twitter, Tumblr, and Instagram, facebook.com/reignitepod, or you can send us an email at reignitepod@gmail.com. You can also find me on Twitter at iHoardLibraries and Matt at DJ_Stormageddon. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe on your favorite podcatcher if you can. It helps us get seen so other people can find us.
You can also find us at certainpov.com. We are a part of the Certain Point of View podcast network. We're so proud to be a part of this incredible network. And if you go to certainpov.com, you can not only find a permanent invite link to our Discord server, where you can join in the conversation about video games, such as this specific game or other games, TV, movies, comic books, but you can also interact with all of us on there. We're always having conversations about all the cool stuff that's coming out. So definitely go there and check all of that out.
Matt and I work on some personal projects. My projects are actually on hiatus right now while life happens. Like I mentioned, I'm going to be moving to the UK to pursue a PhD program. I'm still going to be working on Reignite, and soon we'll be getting back into creating for Archives of the Dragon as well. So if you just want to keep up with me, like I said, my Twitter is at iHoardLibraries, and my Instagram is at iHoardLibrarians, because of character count not being my friend. And on TikTok, you can find me at Frankie Brad is hella rad.
I work on a bunch of stuff that's not going on hiatus, and I do too much. But the things I want to shout out right now is, if you are listening to this the day it comes out, this weekend, if you are in New York and going to FlameCon, I will be doing a panel that will later be airing on Fun and Games called Leather Daddies and Goth Girlfriends, Horror Representation Beyond Queer-Coded Villains. It's with myself, Jeff Moonen, previous guest of the show, Rachel Corky Shank, another host on the network, and the incredible Wally, who's a TTRPG player and badass nerd over on Twitter. It's going to be on Saturday, August 20th at 2 p.m. in Panel Room B at the Sheraton Times Square. So if you are in town or in New York, or actually, fucking live here, come see it. Come hang out with us. And if you can't make it, keep an eye on the Fun and Games feed. It'll be out there after. Also, in the interim weeks, I got a gig as a freelance editor for the Game Informer show, which is a podcast hosted by the incredible Alex Van Aiken. You might recognize his name. He did a side quest on City of Heroes for us. I've been reading Game Informer since I was a teenager. I worked at GameStop. It was one of my earliest jobs. And I've been a fan of games journalism for a while. So now to be working for one of the biggest names in video game journalism is pretty exciting. If you haven't listened to the GI show, please go check it out. It's been a pleasure to edit. I will be guesting on it at some point in the near future too. But if you rate and review it, tell them that I sent you. But yeah, that's been really cool. It's been really exciting, and Alex has been really awesome. Alex, who I don't think has really played the Mass Effect franchise, so I may have to weasel him in somehow, or maybe he'll play the other franchises we play eventually. But yeah, so go check all that stuff out.
We'd like to thank Red Spinks for our It's Okay to Be a Marshmallow t-shirt on Redbubble, featuring our favorite marshmallow, Caden Alenko. You can find more of his work at Chaos Does Art on Instagram.
We'd also like to thank this asshole, the guy on this show, for developing more amazing shirt designs over at the certainpov.com Teespring. Case most of the time just hears a thing and goes, I think I'm going to do a thing. And then they're usually pretty amazing. So definitely go check out all those t-shirts. They're really delightful. My favorite is the N7, what was it? The N711 or whatever it was.
Was it Shepard's N7?
Shepard's N7.
It's an Ocean's 11 pun or a parody
shirt.
Yes, but yeah.
I love Shepard's N7. It makes me very happy.
It's very good.
Case, we need a shirt that says, I am the lizard son.
Yes, with a chibi grunt or something. That's a thing that we
put
need.
that in the notebook.
Okay. Making a note right now. Because I haven't done one yet for the season, so I need to do something.
Yeah. If we can commission someone to do a Lisa, I am the Lizard Queen, but with grunt in a blanket, that would be dope, but also would not be cheap, but it would be worth every penny. Awesome. Yeah, but thank you, Case, for making those t-shirts, for designing our show art. We really appreciate it.
We'd like to thank David Boyle for redesigning our logo like a champ. And finally, thank you to JT Music and Andrea Storm Caden for our new theme music. I'm Frankie.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And I am Carter's husband. Good luck, Pathfinders! Hey, Nerf herders.
You sure you want to go with that?
Hey, everyone?
There we go. More inviting.
Have you ever had a movie that you really wanted to love, but something holds you back?
Or one that you did love in spite of a flaw?
Well, I'm Case Aiken.
And I'm Sam Alisea.
And on Another Pass, we sit down with cool guests to look at movies that we find fascinating.
But flawed.
And we try to imagine what could have been done when they were made to give them that little push.
We're not experts. We just believe in criticism.
Constructive criticism.
Sure.
So come take another pass at some movies with us.
And every now and then, we can celebrate movies that did it on their own, too.
You can find us at certainpov.com or wherever you get your podcasts.
Pass it on.
CPOV.
certainpov.com.